All right, guys, check it out. Got a new piece of equipment for the shop, so we got to get it the rest of the way in, and I'll overlay a few pictures of getting it to this point and talk a little bit about that, and then we'll show you getting it unloaded and in there. And if you hear that big mean dog barking in the background, let's go take a look. We got some new neighbors right here next door, and they've got a couple of very ferocious dogs. And if you notice oh, here we go. See them? See how mean they are? Ooh, we got a little growl going. All right, let's see what we can do. So one of the issues I have with getting that in there is this area right here. You can just see the forklift itself going in and out with not much of a load on it. It's packed in really hard out here, and it gets kind of soft leading in there. So I got a plate, piece of 3/8 plate laying over here that I've cut a couple things out of, and I've got to cut some more stuff out of it, just some rough parts or whatever. So I think that'll work. So we'll lay that down in front of the door, and so let's take a look at a couple things. When I picked this up at the port, they were having this trailer is not really conducive to hauling cargo like that, because you got to load it on with a forklift and then kind of side shift it back, and they were only able to get it back so far. So it had a lot of tongue weight on it. In fact, I didn't even notice this until I got home, but look at the hitch is bent a little bit, not too much. So if I get any more stuff like this, I'm gonna have to get a different trailer, one with a flat deck, that with no fenders, and probably go to a gooseneck, and put a gooseneck hitch in there. So one of the other issues is Musty One, it said go ahead and get the longer forks for it, you're probably going to need them, and it definitely needed it on this. If you look in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but my forks would not go all the way to this outside piece of channel down there, and had a little bit of a difficult time with it. Sometimes when you open up a package, a box or something, it's easier to turn it upside down and pull the contents out from the bottom side, just with the way they got it packed and whatever. And I was thinking about doing that with this one. I was thinking that maybe the best way to get this apart, it only weighs 5,000 pounds, that maybe my best option was turn it upside down. But then I saw that big red arrow on the side pointing up, and I thought, it'd probably be best if I just lift the top of this crate off and get rid of it, and then lift it out the normal way instead of flipping it upside down. So it's kind of working out. All right, this thing weighs right at about 5,000 pounds, and you can see that lower C-channel there, the runner is bent, and that probably was when I was getting it off of my trailer when I got here, because my forks weren't long enough. But really there's no way to get the forks underneath it with these front pieces and back pieces on, so I guess I got to cut that loose. And you notice that it's shifted back toward the back of the pallet some, but I think they've got it where the weight is centered in the even, because it's really front loaded heavy and also top heavy. So a little bit of a tricky one here. We're going to take our time, but I'm thinking about dragging a plasma cutter out here, with a hand torch, and cutting. Let me get my shadow out of the way. Cutting right there and right there, so I can get the forks under it and lift it from the heavy side, the front side. And that, with it extended out, being 5,000 pounds on a 6,000 pound forklift, the weight, and I was actually lifting it from the back side of that, so I had the heavy part of the weight way out here on the forks, and it was struggling. It was lifting the back of it up, and I had to actually get a buddy of mine to sit on the back of it to get enough weight, counterweight, to drag it off the trailer with the way I had it lifted. I should have taken all this off, and but anyway, let's see what we can do with it. All right, well, you can see that it lets me get the forks underneath it, but I'm still kind of blocked out by that front piece right there. So I nipped these angle irons with a saw, and I'm gonna go in there and cut the welds on that channel and release them, and hopefully that'll let me get the rest of the way back. You can see the forks there. They still have a good ways to go to catch this back piece. We'll see if we can do it. All right, it's up in there pretty snug now. I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully the back of the forks are touching. So again, this is the heavy part of the machine here. Come on, baby, get under there. Nope. Oh man, I just like a little bit more. All right, well, there she is. Got it all unloaded. Nobody got hurt. And this machine's going to be for sale. I just got it, and it's already too small for a job I have coming up. That this is 6 feet across here, and I need it to be 8 feet for this project. So this first project, I've actually got to make it in sections, you know, segment it and weld it in 4-foot sections. But this one is, I'll measure it in a minute, but I think it's 6 feet across, and it's 40 ton, and I believe it'll do 1/8 inch at its full width, and it will do like up to 3/8 in narrower widths in the middle. You got this steady rest on here. I mean, in China, they can put linear motion rails on everything. Even the steady rest has a linear motion rail on it. Super smooth. And hey, you need the control screen held. You know, just cut a guy's shirt apart, and a little flannel shirt action there to keep that in place. Let's get this swung around. Don't know anything about the controls or how to operate it, and I'm guessing there's not a manual, so we're going to learn it. We're going to figure it out. And you see up top there's some big lifting eyes there where you could lift this from the top if you had a bridge crane or something, you know. I don't think I could lift it with my short ceiling in here. The control cabinet. Pretty nice. Very organized, very clean, not a lot to it. 2 servo drives. And in the back, there's a hydraulic pump, lines, valves, and there's our foot pedal. So we'll get all this undone. And we've got one servo motor down there, and I think the other one, so we have a 2-axis. The other one's right there. So if you're interested in buying this machine, I'm putting my email up on the screen, and just send me an email and we can talk about it. It's gonna be $14,000, which, you know, by the time I got it here and paid the tariffs and all that, that's about what I have into it. And as you can see, I can safely load it with a forklift. And so right now I've got it sitting on some 4x4s. And what I'm going to do, well, we'll see how long I keep it, but I'm going to run those bolts all the way down so I can remove the 4x4s and then lower them down more, those jacking screws and leveling feet. I'll put some plates under them, maybe some 1-inch pads, 1-inch thick plate. So anyway, guys, that's it. Here in a couple of days, I will get the wiring done. And by the way, people are going to ask me, this is this is 3-phase. This is 3-phase 240, but I believe you can get this machine wired for single phase, but I'll double check. But this one is 3-phase 240. And right here, I've got my old plug for my plasma table, which is, I believe, a 60 amp breaker, 3-phase 240. So, and you can see we don't have far to go. So I should be able to bring in I don't see it obvious where the connection point is, but anyway, we'll bring our electrical in. I mean, that's all of our neutrals over there, the PE, and we will figure it out. I'll figure out where to connect it in at and get it wired up and powered up, bend some stuff on it, get this control figured out. So give me a couple, 2-3 days on it, and I'll get some more information and show it in action. And yeah, if you're interested in buying it, send me an email. See you guys.